Hello, good afternoon. I am Florine Galéron, journalist at La Tribune. And for this new session, we're going to talk about artificial intelligence and how it can bring a revolution into aerospace manufacturing. To discuss this topic, I have four guests with me on stage. Please welcome Stéphane BLAISON, Chief Information Officer at DAER, Bruno BOUF, Executive Vice President and Global Head of Aerospace at Capgemini, Catherine JESTIN, Executive Vice President Digital at Airbus, and Naveen POONIAN, President of iBase-T. So firstly, Catherine JESTIN, everyone is talking about artificial intelligence with the success of ChatGPT, but in the aerospace sector and at Airbus in particular, AI has been a reality for several decades. Could you give us a couple of examples, please?
Yes, of course. So we started with artificial intelligence almost 30 years ago, and the very first applications were in the imagery satellite area to interpret the images from the satellite for various usage. Agricultural, insurance, energy, and of course also obviously for military. So that was 30 years ago. So it's a product called One Atlas that has been extremely successful, that we have continued to develop over time. So what has changed recently is, and we have started really to get out of the design office, let's say, discussions and to go to further places in the company, more in the 2015, 2018, in particular with the implementation of Skywise, where we have started to have predictive maintenance models implemented for our customers, the airlines. And of course, 2023, Gen AI has come, and here it has become a topic for all the companies. So we have use cases now in each and every function. So there is not one single function in the companies that is not having use cases and started to work with AI type of models, let's say.
And I think you have 20 use cases of generative AI in production. Can you give us some examples?
Yeah, I can take one example. So we have a tool that we have called Smart Engineer Assistant that is supporting the employees in Airbus who are answering technical requests coming from the airlines. So the tool is able to recognize from the question asked by the customer what are the use cases among the million of use cases and questions that we have had in the past, the one that are the closest, and more interestingly, to also retrieve the solutions that we have granted and that we have given to the customers at that time. So, what we have already identified is 30% improvement in the efficiency of the employees. So they on a process that is normally 3 hours, they can retrieve up to 30 minutes, 1 hour, which and we have 70,000 requests a year. So I let you make the calculation, but we have a quite nice business case with this one.
Same question for you, Stéphane BLAISON. How DAER is dealing with AI?
We unfortunately did not start as soon as Airbus, but we developed a program since now 3 years that is comprised of 2 legs. The first leg is Gen AI, where we do work in helping the users in improving their daily routines, and where we also develop a program of 15 AI agents to support the business cases where we were having pain point and trying to resume the cumbersome task we have in the organization. This is the first leg. And the second leg is what we do call the AI expert, where we try to identify pain points in the business processes, and we try to cop the pain points by the usage of AI. We can definitely use the one of predictive maintenance, that is a flagship for us. every break, every stop of production line is a real concern, because in the supply chain of aircraft today, we have a very huge demand that we have difficulty to cope with. So the intention for us is to be able to detect weak signal within the production line based on the sound, based on the vibration, based on the temperature, based on the out of tolerances, things like that. And instead of waiting for the breakage of the engine, just to make sure that we can proactively anticipate the event and have it done while the system or while the production engine is not, production machine, sorry, is not working.
Naveen, iBase-T developed a software called Solumina. Could you explain how artificial intelligence is entering into the production line?
Sure. Can you hear me? Okay. I think it's first you have to put context around what you need to do to take advantage of AI. So I think what's really important is you first need to digitize data. So that is something that our Solumina platform, what you have to do first, right? And really what it was built for is how do you take paper-based processes, how do you take Microsoft Excel and start to put that into the platform and really digitize data. Two, you need to figure out how to structure the data. And I think this is extremely important because many people have data all across the place, but they really don't contextualize it and they don't have association with data. So parts, people, processes, how do these things work together? You have to really define that, and really you do that in our application Solumina. And so now that you have that structure in place, what we've done is we've really taken AI and layered it on top of the platform. And so we're using it in a lot of the low-hanging fruit places. You'll see a lot of software companies doing the same. But first is really use cases around knowledge, right? So how do I have self-help in the application and really understand how I perform work? When you have the complexity of what you do in aerospace and defense, it's not always easy to figure it out all at once. So how do you have easy access? Number two is, because you're capturing so much data within a system, how do you get reporting? And this is not just a typical report, canned report that you're running. You're really using real-time data to understand how your operations is operating. So getting KPIs on things like cycle times, defect rates, machine performance, and what's going to be a common theme, and I've seen here, is supplier quality and performance. How do I know that my supply chain is performing? And then additionally, once you start to have the data and you can trend the data, you're able to take manual processes out of the life cycle and get rid of mundane tasks, right? So you can build agents to do work for you.
Okay. Bruno BOUF, what about Capgemini?
So we are supporting most of the actors of the aerospace and defense ecosystem. In production, if we are focusing on production, the last 3 years we saw an acceleration of usage of AI in production. And to make it simple, I will make it in 3 buckets. First one is AI in the to extend existing solutions, so it's more IT extension, so we can talk about predictive maintenance, we can talk about predictive quality, we can talk about early alert system or things like that. And we will see more and more. The second part is linked to the people. So now AI and Gen AI, you have a voice companion. So we start to see some opportunity to bring paperless and screenless interaction on the field. So here we're talking about agentic AI and Gen AI with language. The idea is to empower the technician. And we'll talk later about the fact that from a learning perspective, we have a big challenge in aerospace and defense regarding the number of people that will have to be onboarded on the production challenge in the coming years. And the third bucket is the process. So more and more, we see process optimization, so end-to-end flow, using a mix of robots and AI. So we are at the beginning. And the limits for the moment in aerospace and defense for production is the fact that at the opposite of other industry, we are limited by the regulation. So all our process and people need to demonstrate the fact that the technology we use could be explained. And from a critical point of view, we have to demonstrate that there's no intelligence that substitute the technician. So at the moment, at the level of project we are seeing.
Okay, so thanks for all these very concrete examples. Now we are going to talk more about efficiency and productivity gains. Catherine Jestin, you give some some details, but can you tell more? Maybe how many millions you are saving thanks to your smart engineering assistant, for example?
Yes, I can. So we have different kind of business cases, but it's something that we have systematically for all the use cases that we have. So we always look for, okay, what is the value that we create versus what is the amount that we are investing. So in the case of the smart engineering assistant, today we have reached something that is around 5 to 8 million euros of savings per year that are projected. We have, if I take another example, we have around 20 million euros of savings for the code assistant, so that we have deployed using Mistral AI technology for our colleagues of Defense and Space. So depending on the use case, we range from 5, 6, 10 million up to 100 and above. So we have some use cases that where the projected savings are around 100 million. We have already one in production. It's not generative AI. It was a product we called Prometheus that is optimizing the amount of spare parts that we need to have in inventory to be able to support the fleet of our customers. So we have optimized the levels of inventories up to 100 million of savings for the company. So that's the type of thing we do. We have another one which is called Combid, which is an assistant to the procurement teams and purchasing team for aluminum and titanium. And the particularity in the aerospace industry is that Airbus is buying these materials for ourselves, but also for our supply chain. So there is a big work to be done on collecting how much we need, when we need it, what is the cost of the logistics, and to optimize let's say the network of the producers, the consumers, and the logistics. And this one was in the range of 50 million savings for the company a year. So some of them are very promising. Not all of them. So we also have big failure. So let's make it clear too. So not all the use cases are successful, but when they are successful, some of them can really pay for all the others. And today, if I take the entire portfolio of projects, so we have around 129 AI projects currently running in Airbus, the projected savings is around 300 million euros.
Okay, impressive. Naveen, I think you have also some efficiency figures concerning your Scan AI solution.
Sure. We created a new solution, and what I really love about this is sometimes you talk to your customers and they come up with the best ideas of what you can create and what's going to be the highest value items. It's not typically what you think that you're going to build. So we have one particular customer actually here in France. They are global, and they're trying to deploy, they've deployed 40 sites, they're trying to deploy 100 sites. So one of the biggest concerns they had was adoption. And how do I get customers to adopt the solution and get in the solution and work in it? And this particular facility here in France had a 250,000 page document that they needed to load into our system. And typically, you would have a manufacturing engineer who's going in and inputting all this information manually to get this up and running and then using the system. And so that takes about an hour, and at 35 to 45 euro, let's say, per hour for a manufacturing engineer, that's about a $12.5 million cost, plus a lot of time. And so what we did is we created an AI-driven optical character recognition tool that's able to scan the documents. It's able to parse all the data, input it in the system, and the AI engine does all the data mapping. What that ended up was what took an hour per page now took less than a minute per page. So what was a, let's say, $12.5 million or $12 million cost, 10.5 million euros, was a huge saving, is now only under 500,000 euros. So significant savings with a simple use case, and then you get adoption of the platform, so you're getting additional benefits, right? Additional return to the company. So how do I build product faster, more efficiently? That leads to greater revenue and profitability, and now you're doing things in days instead of months.
And Stéphane BLAISON, do you have also some figures on efficiency?
Sure. We basically put in place a process that consists in making sure that before deciding to go with an agent, we have to identify a minimum savings of 15%. So basically, whatever AI we develop, 15% have to be saved. That's the entry gate, I would say. The observation that has been made on the population of 50% on the day-to-day task is 15 to 20%. So basically, this is a very acceptable threshold today. One concrete example of something that is even delivering better than that today is preparing the regulatory documentation that come along with the aircraft. This is a certain number of pages of paper that we have to fill that takes significant amount of time, that comes with the need of engaging plenty of different people, because lots of people have to give the figures to be able to complete the documentation. And we did estimate that this is a 3 to 4 hour times per aircraft to complete this documentation. After implementation of the AI agent, we did manage with 50 minutes. So this is roughly 3/4 of the total time saved by simply deploying this agent.
Bruno BOUF, how can these solutions help the aerospace industry to deal with this huge backlog?
For sure, aerospace and defense has a huge backlog, and AI will not bring the engine that's missing at Airbus. But we can't share the figures from our client. What I can share is that the area where we are seeing the biggest payback is quality today, in the area of quality. And the second point is that in a longer terms, the relationship between an agent and the workers will change the way the shop floor will be run, and will attract new profile to join the production in aerospace and defense. So I would say that it's not a question of savings, but it's really a question of does AI will help to move the challenge of having the new generation coming in the plant and being new workers because they have been educated by usage of this technology, and I think that the biggest disruption will come from this learning curve.
Naveen, your turn on this link to the backlog and the ramp-up.
Especially with AI, what you're going to see is typical tools and typically how you manage, let's say, a shop floor. It's really static. It's a static way of managing manufacturing processes. And really, what is that going to turn into? It's going to turn into adaptive, insight-driven digital operations. And what do I mean by that? because you have AI and because you have access to this data, you're able to continuously improve. You're able to reduce waste. You can drive lean initiatives and really you know how to fix problems because you have access to that data and you're able to see things that you never once were able to see, or you saw it when things got so bad and you had to shut down operations to handle the problem. So it's very much using AI to be more proactive in how you manage your operations. Two, I think we talked about onboarding workers faster, getting them productive sooner. One thing that I don't know if we talked about and people have talked about, but I believe a majority of the workforce is over 55 years of age in aerospace and defense. So they are retiring, and you need to download that tribal knowledge and be able to access that to educate the new workforce and how you can leverage AI, right, to create those experiences. We talked about agents and just eliminating repetitious work, and I completely agree with you, Bruno. It's not necessarily about saving, it's how do I take one person and make them 5 people and get more productivity. And I think you see that some people see AI and they get threatened by it and they think, oh, my job is gonna be taken away. And they resist, and you know, I know there's many union workers who are feared about that, and so they don't want to lose their job. So it's really about training and educating them that you can do a lot more, but if you don't adopt AI and you don't think about it, your job is in jeopardy. So it's really imperative everyone is looking at that. And I think this is a very key point, and we've heard it constantly, it's supplier collaboration. How do you optimize change that happens and automate change that happens? In aerospace and defense, designs are changing, manufacturing, engineering changes are happening. You need to be able to automate and educate and collaborate with your supply chain and leveraging AI tools to do that more effectively without being so manual in those efforts.
Stéphane BLAISON, when we prepared this panel, we talk about turnover and how can artificial intelligence help with this.
This is one of the areas of concern for DAE today, especially in the United States, where we have a high staff turnover today. And having someone entering in the aircraft industry needs a certain education before he can start working. We do estimate that it's something between 4 to 5 weeks to be at the level expected to be able to produce normally. And with a high turnover rate, as you could have in Florida, that sometimes reach 30%, simply 30% a week. You cannot afford this time in terms of training. So basically, we are working on how AI could support reducing the time for bringing the people at the level expected before being completely proficient at the production line. So this is definitely also a game changer for us, should we manage to complete the step.
Catherine Jessin, on this topic, do you have something to add?
Not necessarily. I fully agree that the role of AI in the onboarding of the workers, support of the workers in the shop floor will definitely be a game changer. What is really, for me, something that would change the world would be to have AI embedded in the process cross companies. We have a very specific supply chain with more than 10,000 suppliers contributing to the production of an aircraft. And today there is a lot of hiccups that are happening in the exchange of data, in the we have missing parts. You were mentioning engine, but there is not only engines. Everything is. We have thousands of missing parts every month. We have outstanding work. We have difficulty to share the planning across the entire supply chain. And I think that's where I see AI can really play a role that will be completely transforming the industry will be through this planning and scheduling and work across the industry, not just for Airbus itself, but really Airbus and all the supply chains. So.
Yeah, maybe you are going to keep the mic because about supply chain, Is it only large companies that can afford to invest in AI, or is everyone getting involved?
No, I think I think everyone will have to go to AI because you were mentioning that AI will not take the job of the workers, but AI, somebody knowing AI will take the job of a worker who do not use AI. So I truly believe that it's something that will be everywhere. It has to be and to start at the school and with a very young generation. So it was something that I was in China a few weeks ago. This is part of their strategy. So now they have AI in the elementary schools. So for kids between 6 and 10. So they learn how to use it. So it means that the guys, when they will enter the university, they will know about it. When they will enter the market, the working market, they will know about it. So and it's not super expensive. So yes, if you want to develop AI, embedded AI for the aircraft, yes, this because you need to go through a certification, etc. But today, if I see my colleagues from Microsoft, so if you want to use Copilot, or if you want to use Gemini, or if you want to use Le Chat, it's not expensive. So each and everybody can do it. And then AI will be embedded in most of the software. So when you talk to Salesforce, when you talk to SAP, when you talk to Dassault Systèmes, they start to have AI embedded in the software. So you don't need to develop all the AI yourself. You will be able to use the AI that is provided by the software. But you need to understand and you need to educate your people to, as you say, to make them not afraid of AI. So they consider AI as a friend and not as a threat, and progressively it will come everywhere.
Do you agree?
Yeah, of course, I can't agree more. So if we step back, we are talking about supply chain in the ecosystem of aerospace and defense with thousands of suppliers that need to share. And one of the problems of the supply chain is the trust between all the actors, and the answer that we used to have in the last century is to fix an horizon and define a target, and we try to align everybody with one hypothesis, okay? And then everybody say, oh, the hypothesis is not the right one. I will take my own assumption, and the one after is doing the same. And when I start working, an MRP within a company of a big size was needed one night to get the answer of how we will dispatch the work for the next 3 months. Now, with the AI, we could, from a technological point of view, we could dispatch all the activity real time to the entire ecosystem. Real time. Each time that someone is changing something in the hypothesis of the overall planning could be reallocated and redispatched to the entire system. So definitely, the big disruption is coming. Question is the adoption.
Stéphane or Naveen, do you want to react?
I just concur, but that's simple. And I think it's not a question whether AI is going to change manufacturing or not. It will change it because the generation that are coming will come along with it. If you step back 40 years back, there was people that was knowing how to use a computer and people that was not knowing how to. Now this is not a question for anyone, sorry. I'm sure that in another 20, 30 years time, this will be our jet on daily basis, so that's not a question, yeah. Meanwhile, it brings a point in my mind. Sharing the data is important, but we also have to make sure that we don't overshare the data. In a sense that when you are a company like Daer today, you handle data that belongs to different customers. So I also have to set the boundaries to make sure that I don't mix data that I'm not supposed to mix, that I don't use data that I'm not supposed to use in that perspective. That's an important point. So to be able to be successful on a long run, the data governance that come along the AI is one of the prerequisites to be able to be successful. That's an important point for us.
All I'd say is it's a once in a lifetime technology that's come out that is life-changing, right? And it's actually been out for a while, but it's really picking up steam because of the learning models that are coming into the market. And what I would say is, and I have a board member, and he told me, this is going to disrupt everything, you better focus on it. You know, I took this, you know, being a CEO of a company, this was my strategy to roll out. I owned it, I got everyone involved, and I to some degree force everyone within the organization to think about how they use it internally. And what's great about using it internally and start experimenting with ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude or any of these applications, I have people who didn't even build applications that are starting to build applications. And I am now seeing that because they learned it, they're now actually implementing it and putting it in the products that we have. So it's really a cultural thing. You need to make it a priority, but you need to make it fun.
Now let's project ourselves 10 to 20 years into the future. What role will artificial intelligence play in the aerospace industry, Bruno? A large question.
Good, you start.
So we talk about manufacturing, okay? First, the next product, so I will not talk about a big aircraft from Airbus, but let's take a drone, okay? Such type of product, you're talking about 10 years, with technology is really long, so let's say 5 years. Drones will have production line in 5 years that will probably be self-configured by the product itself. I'm trying to explain. You see that more and more products are software-driven. So that means that the hardware, we try to make it as basic as we can to make it as cheaper as we can, and we put the intelligence in the software. So everybody is seeing that, and this morning, many conference explaining this transition. But if we come back to manufacturing, the consequence of that is that the product itself will have the intelligence of, okay, while I'm going through the shop floor, I know which sensor and which configuration I need to be, and I will drive myself, my flow in the plant. And in other industry, we are seeing lots of automats and robots which are amplified by AI. So the technology is available in our segment, in our industry. It will take time to get such type of real life implementation, but 5 years, let's see.
In 5 years, Catherine JESTIN at Airbus, what role will play artificial intelligence?
5 years, I was more on the 10, 20 years. 5 years, I think, yes, we will have more AI, but not necessarily for the type of product we do. I think it will take more time, because as Bruno has explained, before we can embed AI in the design of our product and in the aircraft itself, in the production and in the services, we need to go through a certification process. And this certification process is a long one. But we will have to make sure and to demonstrate that each and every decision that the AI we will have in the aircraft for the production or for the customer services, we can explain each and every decision. And this will take time. this will take trust, and we have started the work. So it's mainly our colleagues from the design office working closely with EASA on this topic. But I think it will not be there in 5 years. It will take much more time.
In 10 years?
10, 20, yeah. I think it will be there in 10, 20 years, yes.
Stéphane BLAISON?
In 10 years' time, we could have flipped the table. Let me explain. Today, we do use AI to fix problems with the existing business process of our organization. We did not reach a step where we had to start with nothing and design something integrating AI from the very first day. So, if I do compare what we do today and what we could do in another 10 years' time, today we just do observe something that goes wrong, we try to fix it. In 10 years' time, we will certainly have to completely revamp certain processes just to make sure that we leverage from the early stage what AI can deliver. So for me, it could be a game changer. Should we able to finance it, to fund it? But yes, it could be a game changer because the way we use AI today will not be the way we will use it in 10 years' time.
Naveen, what can you imagine in 10 years?
So I think I'm on the same page. I just feel like it's almost like you're going to be able to design something. You're going to put all the requirements in, the tolerances and all the data and the physics, and you're going to be able to get a executable work order, which most of it maybe is done with AI agents. It can be done with machines because you're starting to see a lot of 3D printing machines and robots that are performing work. Will people fully be replaced? No, that's not going to be the case. But again, people are going to now be able to do more, right? So you're going to be able to build products faster. You're going to have maybe 50, 70% of it done as opposed to 100%. You're still going to have to go through the certification process. But you know, we have some customers and they're doing FAA certification, leveraging the software, and they're going in it and they're being part of the process. So I think all this is just going to happen much faster. And really what that will allow is all the new innovation, right? We want to do things like eVTOLs and electrification of aircrafts and all these fun things, right? And so by reducing those costs, by doing it more efficiently, we're now going to create better products for the public.
So now let's talk about the limitation of artificial intelligence. What safeguards have been put in place in your companies to prevent sensitive data leaks? Stéphane BLAISON.
As I said earlier, we are paying a lot of attention to data governance, making sure that first of all we do identify all the data that does not belong to there. Okay. At least then, before starting consuming them in whatever AI process, we are following the rules of delegation we got from our customers. Secondly, we also did classify the category of data, whether it is public, restricted, or confidential, because yes, at a certain stage, you may also give figures within your own organization that should not be spread, okay? So this is the second aspect that we do consider, and we are actually looking for partners that will help us to guarantee this, I would say, segregation of data category in the long run, because this is just the way we will manage to keep the confidence within the ecosystem of aerospace.
Catherine JESTIN?
Nothing very different. So I think fully agree that the data governance is a critical part. Then the data classification that is going with it, and what we have done in Airbus is basically the model cannot use the most confidential information, so what we call the Airbus Red, because Airbus Red information is encrypted. So by design, let's say, a model when is getting access is not getting access to this information. So we have technologies of today that allow and the segregation and that allow not to use data that should not be used. Then I would mention two other things. One thing that is extremely important is the awareness of the users and the training. So to first start to tell them that basically you do not take confidential information from Airbus to ChatGPT or to an external model. So that's one very important thing, is to really focus on the education of the users, so they are conscious of the confidentiality and sensitivity of the data they have in their hands. And then technology today, and typically what we have done with Google on Gemini, is that the model is only using Airbus data. So, and it's not providing the data outside of Airbus. So everything is and remains within the environment of Airbus.
Naveen, why do you advocate for open data architecture, and how can this meet the necessary safeguards for manufacturers?
So I'd like to look at open data architecture in two parts. One is open data architecture allows interoperability, right? So that's getting real-time access to data, and if you have data in silos or in your departments and you don't actually free it up, right, you're not really able to leverage AI, and you're not able to implement any AI strategies. So you really need to think about your architecture and how you're going to open up these systems. You know, whether, let's say, it's an ERP system or a PLM system, and you know, we build MES systems, right? And so how do we start to share the data? Because no one system is a master and has the full information that's needed, right? They all contribute, and we can all leverage and use that data. So two is scalability and flexibility, right? So technologies are going to continuously change. New technologies are going to come in. The number of companies I've talked to who built solutions, customized solutions, but they didn't build it with open data architecture in mind. They're now trying to figure out, how do I do digital continuity, and how do I build, let's say, a model-based enterprise, and how do I have my system talk to other systems? And they say, oh no, you know, it can't, and it's just too painful to actually re-architect this solution. And so you need to have an open architecture because it's going to allow you to start to think of best-in-class technologies. And in some cases, we use open source technology in our software, and we've pivoted. We used one Docker Swarm, and now we use Kubernetes, right? So these are just new technologies that you want to swap in and out that are going to be better, right? And allow you to use best-in-class solutions. And that's going to change, because a solution that you're using, maybe it was meant for aerospace, but now, you know, they're really more focused on food or process manufacturing, right? You're going to need to pivot and find something that's going to fit you. The other thing with open architecture is you do need to meet the necessary safeguards. We talked a little bit about security, so you do have to implement a security framework around your data. And every ecosystem and every solution has their own pieces, but we all share some of the things like ITAR, the new Cyber Resilience Act that's come out, NEO, CMMC, NIST standards, 800-171. So, you know, how do you incorporate that into your technology stack? And how do you protect data through access control, right? So I think there's education, and there's education on what data you can access, but there's also just, how do I put controls in place so it is more automated and you don't have to always rely on people who are usually your biggest source of security risk in giving data away.
Bruno, BOUF, on this open data architecture?
I will not comment a specific idea on the open data. I can share what has been done in terms of what we need to take care regarding AI. And again, in the manufacturing environment, I think that I see two topics. First is we are more and more challenged by our client to bring cyber in the area of AI protection, because it's a surface of IT activity that complex to describe and need to be protected. And the second one is that in terms of maintenance of the application, we're talking about application that could evolve and learn by themselves. So one of the questions is, today we're used to provide maintenance activity on the application for any sort of solution. When you talk about a solution that evolve alone within the time, so the challenge is to get the people who will, on a regular basis, control the evolution of the learning of your AI system. So that's one of the next challenge that I will see in this area.
Maybe to finish, we know that new language models have a huge ecological impact. How can we use AI responsibly and avoid unnecessary requests? Who want to react?
I can take the question. Basically, what we have done is first, again, training. To explain to our employees how to use, and it's not just for AI, it's more globally for digital, to really have, we have defined eco-design referential for all the developers in the company, for also our suppliers and partners who are helping us to develop any kind of digital application and solution. And basically, we apply that to AI too. More specifically for AI, so the engine AI, we have created pods, so production-oriented development area. So that's basically kind of safe place where each function or group of people can develop AI things, and we give them two information because we want them to do it responsibly. One of them is the consumption of energy they have in their pods. The second one is the cost because it's in Google Cloud. So what is the cost of the cloud that they have in the for their activities? So it helps gives them the consciousness of what is their impact on the environment and what is their impact on the finance of the company.
Thanks. We are coming to the end of this panel. Thanks to everyone for taking part.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.